Queen, the Veiled Woman with Soft Eye Boutique, here to talk about why I no longer believe that eating pork is bad. This video is going to be extremely controversial, especially because of my history and background that I have with how I used to really push the message that eating pork was bad for you. It made you inherently unclean. And now I no longer believe that. And I had to come out and be honest and open about it and tell everybody about this. Okay. So first thing I want to do is start with my personal journey and history with not eating pork. Okay. So I actually grew up eating pork. I'm from Louisiana. I say it's the hog capital of the world, but apparently it's somebody else, but that's just a moniker that I'm saying. But we have pig everywhere here. It's literally everywhere. Unless you're going to like some type of vegan stove or something like that. Pig is everywhere in Louisiana. So I actually grew up eating pork. And I really didn't, now that I'm looking back on it, I really did not have any issues with the fact that I was eating pork. So eating pork never contributed. I really wholeheartedly believe in my heart that none of the health issues that I dealt with were a result of my former pork consumption. They were the result of trauma, not the hog. Okay. So when did I actually stop saying that I was going to eat pork? Stop eating pork. So about, I will say 2021. So up until I was about 20 or 21 years old, I ate pork. And I'm a Louisiana girl, so I was really into sausage and boudin. Now, where I'm from, I'm originally from New Orleans. Yes, there's a lot of pork there, but we didn't really have boudin. I think they're now having it there more, but when I was in New Orleans, boudin was really, really hard to find. And so boudin is like a sausage mixed with rice and all these seasonings. It's very, very delicious, okay? But I didn't start eating boudin until I moved into the northern part of East Baton Rouge Parish. It was my first time ever coming in contact with boudin and boudin balls. And so, of course, I was eating pork then. So I tried it and I fell in love with it. So that was really my thing. Yes, I would eat the ham sandwiches. Yes, I would, eat all of that. But it wasn't like, I wouldn't say that I was eating pork every day, but when I ate it, I ate it. So at about 21 years old, I came in contact with the conscious community, and that's when I started spiraling into ancestral lies. And I accepted ancestral lies. And I'm getting really emotional about this because I really wish people would understand how long it took for me to get to the space where I am now, to where I could forgive myself, I can give myself grace, and I can even truly laugh at myself about the betrayal and the treachery that I imposed upon my ancestors and what they did and how they lived their lives and why they were in the positions that they were in. So around 2021, I came in contact with the Black conscious community. Now, mind you, there are plenty of certain groups of thoughts in the Black conscious community. They still eat pork. It's no problem. Okay. So, but the groups that I came in contact with, all of them were like, no pork whatsoever. Now, if you don't really understand pork is literally in almost everything. So you really have to read ingredients. And because the fats and everything that are in pork. If you've ever cooked with pork in actual pans, pots, and used utensils, or even had ate pork, clearly you're eating on a plate. It's in that plate. It's in that because it acts like a you can use it for, like, what do they call it, seasoning cast iron skillets. Like some people use lard to create a seal. So pork does that. So I came around the conscious community, and it was adamant that it was absolutely no pork. And I didn't even question it. And so I just jumped right on it. And then I got into the mindset of, okay, you know, you eating pork, poison animal eater, you're filthy, you this, you that, all of that. So I became one of those people, even though I used to eat pork as well. And so that was a lot of unresolved trauma and issues that I had with myself that I was projecting upon other people at that time. So now that I realized that. So went through the years of not eating pork. Honestly, really not eating it, like not going to the store and buying it, consciously buying it. Now that I'm looking back, there were clearly times where I was eating food that contained pork in some way, shape, form, or fashion, even though I read the ingredients and there was no pork listed on the ingredients. And there were also plenty of times where I went out dining with the same group of people who claimed that they did not eat pork and they were just anti-pork, and we all were sitting down eating pork at the same time while talking about people next to us who actually ordered some type of pork dish on this menu, on the same menu in the same restaurant. And I'm gonna get to what I mean by that. Hindsight is truly 2020. I remember what really stuck out to me, and I kind of swept it under the rug. I'll never forget. One day, me and this group of people, we went out to eat, like we always usually did, but we went to a Thai restaurant. Now, this group of people, they were vegan. At that time, I was dibbling and dabbling in veganism, but if I really honestly felt like I wanted some chicken or some fish or some beef, I was going to get that. So we were always at this Thai restaurant. They ordered their vegan dishes. I ordered my porkless dish. We got our food. The food was delicious. But in the midst of that dinner conversation, at that dinner table, we were talking about people who were eating pork. Now, mind you, if you Thai cuisine loaded with pork, you read the menu, there was pork all throughout that menu, which means that what they cooked our food on, the plates and the utensils that they gave us, pork had literally just went through. So we were eating the fat, the residual fats and juices of pork. It was clearly mixed in our food. And I remember sitting down and thinking that, it just came to me, and it was very like it just kind of went through one ear and out the other. But I remember that thought came to me, like, I'm sitting up here talking about people eating pork, and I'm literally just got a plate of food, and it was cooked on the same grill as this pork dish, this stir-fried pork dish that this person next to us just ordered. Or is literally served on the same plates. And I didn't say anything, and I just kept eating. And so there were other times going forward to where I went to the store or went to some type of restaurant, maybe ordered out to eat, had every intention on ordering a pork-free dish. I'm saying, okay, this is turkey sausage, this is this. I'm actually asking the people, hey, especially if it was a sausage, is it skinless? Is it in a casing? If it is in a casing, which type of casing is it? And I'm being reassured that, hey, that no pork is on this. I'm taking it home. I'm eating it. I'm devouring it. Something is telling me, girl, you need to do your own research. Like, research what type of sausage. I never forget, like, Whole Foods. I got they had some turkey sausage. I went to the deli and I got some, I'm talking about a loaded meat pizza, y'all. And I had the turkey pepperoni. I had the turkey, like ground turkey on there. And I had some turkey sausage. I had the vegetables. And I got it all them custom made. And I'm really getting into it, y'all, because when I asked the folks, with the turkey sausage, I said, is it in a casing? They're like, ma'am, is it in a pork casing? Ma'am, we assure you that this is not in there. Okay, boom, bam. I'm talking like, y'all, everybody in that store, when my pizza came out the oven, it was like, ma'am, what type of pizza you offered? Like, what type of pizza you ordered? Because this smells so good. Like, and I'm opening the box, showing people like, yeah, like this my turkey pizza. Like, I'm really bucked up. But in the back of my mind, when I was checking out, I was like, this smells too good. Like, this smell very familiar. Because like I've said, I've eaten pork before. But I'm like, okay, this person is reassuring me that this is, they actually, I asked them to go into the back, look at it, and they're telling me, all of this. I'm getting home, I ate the pizza, and I said, this pizza, it tastes like the good old days, when I was young. And then I go on Whole Foods, and I look, because the deli will tell you which brands of meats and stuff that they use in their pizza. I'm looking it up, of course it's in a pork case, in a natural pork casing. So no wonder why. So it was little situations like that to where I was still eating pork, even though it was not intentionally, even though it was not maliciously, I was still eating pork. And those same people were still eating pork due to those circumstances that we were in. Literally, if somebody, even if they clean the grill, it's people don't understand that. Even about beef fat too. You can cure surfaces with beef fat as well, but most people use pork because it's more readily available. So even if they would have cleaned the grill, that vegan dish was not really vegan because they literally just cooked pork on there. So these people, they were eating pork-laced vegan food. I was eating this meat food, this pork-less meat dish, and it literally just passed on the same grill. So I had to check myself about what I was saying and what I was doing towards other people. And a lot of that I was actually projecting upon, my, internal problems that I had at that time. I was projecting it upon people who eat pork, and that was wrong. That's not fair. That's not fair to them. Because we have to keep it all the way 100. There's entire countries where it's written into their laws, it's codified that they can't have pork or anything, but these are some of the worst people in the world regarding how they treat women, or with a whole bunch of sexual deviancy, but they don't eat pork. But that makes them better, so it's not true. And I also started to come across people who claimed not to eat pork, but they did some of the most horrendous, treacherous, and backstabbing things to other folks, but they did not eat pork. Some of them even smoked crack or some form of drug, but they wouldn't eat pork. But crack, heroin, pills, that's okay to do. Or you had people, they would be smoking cigarettes or eating white sugar. And white sugar, a lot of people don't know, commercial white sugar that's processed with pig bone char. So it was just a lot that I realized that I was taking part in hypocrisy. And if anybody don't know, that I don't like hypocrites. And so I had to hold myself accountable as well for that too. Also, regarding pork and our ancestors not eating pork, it's a lie. It's a flat out lie. Our ancestors ate the hog and nothing happened to them. Okay, when we started to see the diabetes, when we started to see the gout and all this other foolishness that started to really, take a hold of the Black community when we came into well, I wasn't born, but when our ancestors came into the tail end of the Jim Crow era, like in the 1960s, that is when we started to see the introduction of industrial seed oils, like Crisco and things like that. All soybean oil, canola oil, rapeseed oil. Also with heavily pushing commercial sugar products, because black folks we can eat sugar, but just not the sugar that they're giving us. That's when all of our issues started to happen, as far as regarding health issues in the capacity that is happening now. Yes, so that's when we saw it in the capacity that it was happening now. There's also numerous, and I had to bear witness to this. There's numerous studies regarding, and you look it up because they're out there. I'm not saying this just to say it, but I'm the type of person, I really don't like to, because you can link a study all you want and people still gonna make it seem like you make it up. But versus vegan children and children who were raised on pork, which clearly contains saturated fats, the deterioration in those vegan kids. Now, with all that being said, even though I no longer think or feel that eating pork is bad, do I eat pork now? No, I still don't eat it. Like, I still don't consciously go to the store and buy ham. I don't buy pork chops. I don't buy pork ribs. I don't buy pork sausage. I still read ingredients. And if it has pork, if I see it's pork or some type of pork byproduct, I'm not purchasing it and I'm not eating it. But I still have to admit that I go to restaurants and I eat at restaurants that have pork on the menu, even though I'm ordering fish, even though I'm ordering chicken, even though I'm ordering beef. And because of that, that means that I am still vicariously consuming pork. It's not intentionally, but I had to admit that. There was one true restaurant here, because I am in Louisiana, in the area that I'm in, where it was a Muslim restaurant, and there was absolutely no pork byproducts. So I will always go to this restaurant, and it was ran by a Southeast Asian Muslim man, but I had to stop going because every time I would go, he would touch me. Like, he would find a way to touch me some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I remember I told myself, the next time, hold on, my ring light went out. The next time that I come here and he does this, I'm gonna knock this man out. But thankfully that didn't happen. What happened was, and the ancestors really protected me, because, and I'm telling y'all, the food was good, but it was harassment. The ancestors really protected me, because I remember saying, if I go there and he touched me again, I'm gonna knock this man out. So I went there. I had really wanted this particular food. I'm not gonna say which country he's from, because it's gonna be obvious, because that's the only type of restaurant that we have here in Baton Rouge. But I went there, and it was a whole bunch of Caucasian. That was all Caucasian people in the restaurant. And I went in there, and he told me, I was like, oh, I want to order some food. And he looked at me. Clearly we must have been communicating telepathically, and he knew that he couldn't touch me anymore or anything like that. So I'll never forget, I went in there, and it was only Caucasian people in there, and I walked in there, and he told me, and he had a very nasty attitude. He said, don't you see me helping all these people? Like, I'm not going to serve you. And so I said, oh, okay. And I left, and I never went back. So that's, but he doesn't eat pork. And also I read another, I'm going to try to link this news article, which was very interesting. Muslim doctor is now, for people who need heart transplant surgeries and they can't, they really need it, and they're on a organ donor list and they can't get an organ donor, he is now successfully transplanting pig hearts into humans. And the humans are living, of course, you know, they're on medication and they always have to be monitored, but they are still living and breathing with this heart, with this pork heart. Okay, so it's a lot of interesting stuff going on and lies about people not, even if they're not really eating the pork or vicariously eating the pork, they're still handling pork in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Like I've known, you know, yeah, I'm not gonna say that, but people are still consuming pork. They're consuming pork, and it's lies. It's all lies. And so I no longer want to be a part of bold, brazen lies. I don't want to be a hypocrite because I know how I feel about hypocrites. And so I have to get on here and just tell the truth about it. I no longer view people who eat pork as these unclean, unruly beasts and animals when I know that that's not the case. I know that's not the case. So I'm Queen, the Veiled Woman with Soft Eye Boutique, here telling y'all the absolute truth about eating pork. Even if you don't eat pork, or you honest, 9 times out of 10, you're still eating it, and you don't realize it. You do not realize that you're still eating it. I know that happened to me, even with reading labels. Even with reading labels. So if you're not cooking at your house, and even if you're not going to markets where they're not slaughtering pigs and stuff, you're still eating pork. You're still eating it. It's Queen with Soft Eye Boutique.